It's been a long offseason filled with rumors, speculation, and honestly endless reports that seemed to just reiterate the same point over and over again to the point where everyone was just getting sick of it. But we finally reached a conclusion on the Damian Lillard saga. The best part of it all is that the conclusion we have now reached isn't even what we all expected to happen. In fact, it's probably the exact opposite. Damian Lillard is the newest member now of the Milwaukee Bucks. That's right, not the Miami Heat like you were all led to believe. So in today's video, we will be going over pretty much everything that this trade entails, including the lead up to this point, the implications down the line as a result of it, and what the pros and cons are for each of the three teams that were involved in the deal. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. As I said in the intro, Damian Lillard is now a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, which if you told someone that would be the case a month ago, you would be called crazy. Literally, from the very beginning of all of this going down when Lillard made his trade request, the only team he and his team wanted to focus on was the Miami Heat. He was using his manager to leak information about how he would refuse to play for anyone else if he were going to be traded there. He tried to kill any leverage that the Trailblazers front office had. He insisted that he would hold out in order to get his way, but the entire time, the Blazers front office called his bluff and held firm on the fact that they would not allow him to hold the team hostage and force their hand. Damian Lillard is a superstar player, and they insisted on seeking out a superstar player level package in return for his services, and if the Miami Heat could not offer that, then they were going to look elsewhere. Obviously though, the conversations were going to start with Miami being Dame's preferred destination, but because they thought they had the upper hand, the Heat weren't even that aggressive in the negotiations and gave off a kind of arrogant vibe where they probably believed that they would end up getting Lillard in the long run for a lower price when nobody else stepped up and engaged Portland in trade talks. According to Miami Heat reporter Barry Jackson, the Heat had the following assets on the table: Tyler Hero, Nikola Jovic, Caleb Martin, Jaime Jaquez, and first-round picks, but they did not want to include all of them or even a lot of them. Now, I don't know about you, but looking at that group, I don't see a whole lot that moves the needle or turns heads of teams that are about to ship out a superstar player. Tyler Hero is a nice young player, don't get me wrong, but realistically he's a sixth-man scoring threat who struggles mightily on the defensive end and is a few tiers below the all-star caliber guys that the Blazers probably wanted in return. Then the rest of that group is made up of role players and unproven youngsters, and while the first-round picks are valuable, the Heat made it clear that they weren't offering all of them, which again hurt them in the long run. All of that hardball allowed the Milwaukee Bucks to sneak in under their noses and steal away their prize, and how they did it honestly seemed to happen pretty fast. As I said, for a while Lillard was emphasizing that he didn't want to play anywhere else, but then there were rumors swirling about Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo talking behind the scenes. The Bucks made first contact to start trade talks a few days ago, and now here we are with a deal finalized, which brings us to the main topic of today's video, the actual trade that went down. The Phoenix Suns got involved to help complete the deal, and the official details of the trade are that the Bucks received Damian Lillard, the Trailblazers received Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tuamani Camara, a first-round pick and 2 pick swaps, and the Suns received Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. We'll go through how each team individually fared as a result of the deal, starting obviously with the Milwaukee Bucks, who are the clear winners in this whole thing. Literally earlier this month, Giannis Antetokounmpo started publicly discussing how he wasn't necessarily fully committed to the Bucks moving forward, and with 2 years left on his contract, said that when that deal expired, he would be looking to re-sign with a team that gave him the best chance to win, whether that be Milwaukee or elsewhere. Now, the last time Giannis's contract was about to expire, we actually saw a similar storyline unfold, where Giannis was in constant rumors regarding potentially leaving, leaving, so the Bucks went out and traded for Jrue Holiday to appease him, and they ended up winning the 2021 championship together. Well, now we have a full circle moment, because Jrue Holiday ended up being the piece used to acquire their newest star to pair with Giannis, and once again appease him, demonstrating that they are committed to building a championship contender around him. With Lillard, that is exactly what they are too, and now they should be without question the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference. This is a Bucks team that was already the 1 seed last season, and even though they embarrassingly lost in the first round to the 8 seed Miami Heat, Giannis was playing with a bad back in that series, so that wasn't necessarily them at their best. One negative thing about this deal for them is that they've been a team that has prided itself on its defensive success, ranking in the top 5 on that end of the floor last year, and they just sacrificed a lot of their perimeter defense, replacing Jrue Holiday with Damian Lillard, who isn't necessarily very good as a defender. And the Bucks' backcourt is now Lillard and Malik Beasley, which is going to be a bit porous on the outside. The reason I wouldn't sweat it too hard, though, if I was a Bucks fan, is that the Bucks have also consistently ranked near the bottom, compared to other playoff teams at least, in half-court offensive production. And now with Damian Lillard and his 30 points per game leading the way, that is an area that they are getting a huge boost in to make up for it. Additionally, the Bucks' front court of Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Chris Middleton can absolutely hold things down defensively, so it's not like they're going to be bad on that end, they just might not be elite. Now, as for the Trailblazers, they were in a tough spot for a while, almost being held hostage and forced to take the Heat's offer until the Bucks stepped in. DeAndre Ayton has desperately needed a change of scenery for a few years now, and he's still young enough to fit in nicely with the Blazers' young core of talent, filled primarily with guards to this point. He's a double-double machine with a nice face-up game, and he gives you 18 points and 10 rebounds per game, so it's definitely a meaningful pickup, which is exactly what the Blazers wanted. Then, by also getting Jrue Holiday, they will be, according to reporter Adrian Wojnarowski, looking to flip him in another trade in the near future that should get them even more valuable assets to build for their future. So honestly, I really like the return that they got, and how they navigated the market here. Tyler Hero was going to be the headliner in a Heat offer, and the truth is that they didn't need Tyler Hero, because his skill set clashes with the likes of Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, and Shaedon Sharpe, and he's also not as good as Jrue Holiday, who they are now luring in front of contenders in more trade talks. Then lastly, as for the Phoenix Suns, their return puzzles me. Sure, Ayton's time in Phoenix had probably run its course, but Jusuf Nurkic in the year 2023 is a big downgrade from Ayton, defensively especially, and the Suns have championship aspirations this year. There was a time that Nurkic was a very solid rim-protecting big man, but ever since the injury he suffered a few years ago, he has not been the same, and honestly, he's been pretty bad defensively ever since. The Suns' defense as a whole now has a ton of question marks that will probably take time to address, so their super team is definitely not perfect. With the rest, they got a few more depth pieces that will come in handy, as Grayson Allen has been a nice floor spacer in Milwaukee over the years, but Nasir Little and Keon Johnson are probably not moving the needle much for a title contender. I'm a little surprised that they didn't get any draft compensation in return after giving up DeAndre Ayton, because he is still a very good big man, and we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out, I guess. Overall, this was a pretty crazy day in the NBA world, and now there's even more excitement for the new season, which just so happens to be right around the corner.